Muskina says, I was sexually assaulted by Ava Tyson, and here is my story. Their handle on Twitter is genderillennial. For context, Ava and I are both adults and met each other as adults. Ava followed me on Twitter in November of 2022 after seeing my transition timelines on Twitter when I had under 500 followers. Right. Followers mentioned. I feel like that's a very bad sign for the seriousness of this. It's already being set up to leverage social media following power dynamics, right? If something really bad occurred, normally this is the sprinkle on top, not the intro. You're a inspiration and you rock. Kris followed you and then you messaged Kris. Blue is received, blue is sent. I just tested it. Blue is sent. So this person messaged, you're a inspiration and you rock. Less than 3. Hey, you are too, thanks so much. Responded 12 days later. What a ravenous predator. Also, you look incredible. How long have you been on HRT? Since like Feb. Thank you so much. That disgusting body you were born in is being fixed by exogenous hormones. We started messaging each other every day through I messaged Kris. Almost 2 weeks later, Kris responded, and from that point on, we started regularly messaging. We started messaging each other every day through Twitter. She confided in me that she thought my results from HRT were amazing, that she was planning on getting HRT soon to transition herself. You should transition yourself now! As someone who follows online culture, content, and streaming, I was overwhelmed by emotions with being trusted with this secret and information that I knew would be huge news. You were an adult at this time. You're talking like you were a baby. I'm sorry. No. Someone having a degree of fame doesn't revert you into infanthood. Doesn't melt you down into being a child again. I was overwhelmed. They were E-famous, so I was overwhelmed. You're an adult. Who gives a f*** if they're E-famous? As a transgender woman who publicly transitioned a month earlier, I genuinely could not believe something so amazing had happened in my life after I had been through so much. Damn. A stunted tranoid individual? Crazy. Eventually, we talked about me potentially working for MrBeast, and she told me that she was sure she could get me in the video. The Epstein of MrBeast. Let's go. I wonder if MrBeast has a room with a leather couch against a wall and a camcorder in the corner. Just gonna throw this out there. Please let me know if you guys are ever hiring for any type of work. I used to Oh, so you pursued this. The writing made me imagine Kris going like, hey, by the way, I can get you a job with MrBeast. What do you think about this? This was you going, oh, just gonna throw this out there. Please let me know if you guys are ever hiring for any type of work. I used to work as a floor manager at the #1 comedy club in Boston, so I'm comfortable around famous people as celebrities. Okay? Undermine the narrative you're creating that you were starstruck and reverted to a childhood state. Undermined that narrative instantly. I'm just fine around famous people and celebrities. It doesn't affect me. I've worked mostly miserable jobs, sometimes working over 70 plus hours a week and still struggling to get by / transition. I've even worked as a chimney sweep. Tiny Tim over here. I've even worked as a chimney sweep, risking my life for $15 an hour. So I mean it when I say I will literally do anything you guys ask of me. I'm not sure where you guys are based out of nowadays, but I would drive there tonight for a job if asked. Guess what? I think the cock-gobbling, clout-hungry floozy role is one people should be allowed to fulfill. If you're an adult, you should be allowed to be a begging, clout-hungry slut. If someone takes you up on your desperation, you are not then a victim. You're just a slut. That's what I feel we're going to run into here. My number is redacted. If you want to reach me, like groupies, being a groupie should be legal. If you're going to be a groupie and you're going to throw yourself into the groupie role, and then someone with some degree of fame fucks you, that's called being successful. That's not being a victim. Was it Lincoln who said, whatever you are, be a good one? Just take pride in what you do. Whatever you are, whatever you choose to be the best one you can be. I have a resume available if you'd like me to send one over. I will definitely keep you in mind. We do videos where we need people to compete, so if you don't mind sitting in a circle or something, I'm sure we could figure something out, Lamau. Okay, there you go. Floozy strats. You tried to glom onto this person. Please, I'm desperate. I'll do anything. Yeah, I can have you sit in a circle for MrBeast. There you go. It's called business. She was the most famous person to ever show me that type of attention. Trying really hard not to scream kill yourself into my webcam. Entire generations that view fame and internet clout and attention as the greatest power, as the most important thing. Reminiscent of Kris to some degree being understandable as someone who got attention once, was in the press for winning some sort of contest and then that fucking them up permanently. You know? Reminiscent of that. Reminiscent of someone who gets on TV once and then their whole life is clinging to that having happened and being a has-been. But now people aspire to be a has-been who's had the slightest degree of proximity to the mildest forms of fame. People aspire to that, and their brain is wired that an e-celeb DMing them is like getting struck by lightning and it fries their neural pathways. You're disgusting. This person's a freak already and they haven't even told us what happened. She was the most famous person to ever show me that type of attention. And she immediately started love-bombing me and making me feel like the most important person in her life. Odds of this actually being love-bombing, very low, but we'll see. Within the first few weeks of us talking, she told me that she told her therapist about the positive impact I was making on her life, and that she had told her friends about me. She very quickly moved our conversation to Snapchat. Remember, love bombing sets someone up to have that attention ripped away from them, right? And so that you can reapply it so that they'll accept you doing bad things. Meeting a new person you might be sexually interested in, you might have a crush on, and being really nice to them because you're excited about this new person, that is not in and of itself love bombing. Love bombing is a strategy employed by abusers. It is not just being really nice when you first meet someone. There's a little bit more to it than that. Right, what are these logs? Content, I definitely wouldn't mind sitting in a circle, but surely you guys must be doing crazier stuff than that nowadays. Either way, thanks for keeping me in mind and always feel free to reach out. Also, you get a lot of your hairline back on HRT. They don't tell you that when you get on it. Sent a picture? I don't know how the channel is ever going to top the Squid Games video, that was nuts. And yeah, you can add me on Snap, I'm blank on Snap. Well, I was under the impression that she was working on getting me in a video. We started having video chats on Discord. Ava asked me to masturbate with her on video call multiple times. Yeah, because, gonna be real, you were given that vibe. Floozy. Groupie. Ava asked me to masturbate with her on video call multiple times, and I always felt like I had to say yes if I wanted to be in a video or get a job. I massively got the signal that this person is trying to throw themselves at Kris to get into MrBeast. Massive, massive, massive groupie, floozy vibes. No shit, this person asked you to do it. Asked you to, like, masturbate in a call. And with the carrot being to appear on a MrBeast video. That's like, oh, I was asked to show my tits if I wanted to get backstage at the show type vibes. Personally, is what I'm getting here. On one occasion, she asked me to join a video call and asked me to masturbate, even though she knew I wasn't feeling well. Which led me to joining her and then puking after a few minutes. I'm pretty sure if I had to jerk off with Kris Tyson, I would also vomit. Might not even take me a few minutes. I wouldn't even have to be sick. Right? I don't think that had anything to... I was forced... Me, an adult human being. The offer of around in a MrBeast video led me to masturbating to the point of grueling exhaustion so that I vomited. Yeah, you're just a retarded freak to be laughed at. Sorry. Sorry, you're a mental infant. If Kris is gonna be diddling mental infants or literal infants, I'd prefer you get diddled. Consider yourself a hero. You took a bullet. You took a load for that kid. If not for you, imagine what could have happened to Lava. Masturbate now, or I won't have you in a video touching a car for MrBeast. Our conversations always leaned in the direction of affectionate and sexual. Yes, because you are a floozy-coded individual. And she sent me a lot of sexually explicit Snapchats, messages, photos, and videos. Our relationship was very confusing to me, and I didn't fully realize I was being coerced. I don't think you've described coercion here. You've described a carrot. Coercion to me implies stick, maybe manipulation, but only in the degree of, gee, you can be on international Twitch TV with MrBeast if you rub your cock for me. It's not a very tasty carrot, in my opinion. Not to the point of removing your agency. Not to the point of your consent being granted under duress. No. Your Honor, I was raped. He said if I came to his house to he'd give me a bag of Doritos. How could I say no? I was coerced. Can you imagine being like, I was raped because Harmful Opinions said if I sucked his dick, he could be featured in one of his videos. I couldn't say no. If you amplify that, if you bring it up to MrBeast's size, it's still ludicrous. I sucked dick to get on a game show? I don't feel sorry for you. That's really funny. That's an L. You're a loser. I'm sorry. She eventually flew me out to her home in Greenville with a one-way ticket. Well, I was still under the impression that she would be getting me in a video with MrBeast. Right. This is now being phrased like you got ripped off. We've gone from this being rape to you getting ripped off. Hey, that wasn't the deal. I was doing this stuff to get on the MrBeast Feastable channel. I was supposed to have my face on a chocolate bar. I was scammed by Kris Tyson. I gargled the sheeness, and I didn't even get to appear on a humiliating game show. The first night at her house, she told me to set up in her bedroom. What, set up the dilation station? As I would be sleeping in there with her. I thought that this was potentially the beginning of a relationship. When we went to bed together that night, we ended up cuddling. I misread that as coitusing. I coitused her so hard. When we went to bed together that night, we ended up cuddling and kissing, which led to her taking her clothes off and asking for oral sex from me. I went down on her expecting to engage in sex that would be reciprocated. Scammed again. But when I was done, she made it clear that she did not want to return any sexual favors to me. Holy shit. Outing yourself as a transaction-brained, soulless, psychopathic floozy, throwing yourself at people with e-fame to get your face into some dumbass game show, and then revealing that even in an intimate scenario, you feel like sucking dick and not getting your dick sucked back is like getting scammed. You've presented this as if you've been ripped off in a business deal. You're just a sick freak. I'm shocked that this is occurring in the trans community in which they network together to meet up and, try and get proximity to clout. Strange. I was hoping that would not be the case next time we hooked up, and I believed we would be moving to something more mutual. A 69, perhaps. I would keep it 100, but actually I'm hoping for a 69. Over the course of the next week, Ava engaged me sexually, and ended up receiving oral pleasure several times, but she never reciprocated any sexual favors in return when I was done. Damn, you must love sucking cock. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. To be clear, at this point, what is being described as abuse isn't you being coerced into sucking dick. What is being described as abuse is your dick remaining unsucked. Kris not sucking your dick is what's being called abuse here. This is literally you're a rapist for not sleeping with a trans person. But now they're also like a trans traitor because it's also a trans person. Also, true, this person never asked to have their dick sucked. This person is saying, I am a victim of not having my dick sucked by someone who didn't have permission to suck my dick. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return. Scared of what? You were scared? You had Kris's sheeness between your teeth, in danger of a jaw clamp, and you were scared? Blowjobs are one of the scariest things in the world to receive. The day she first posted publicly that she was on HRT was also the first week I was there. After making her post, Jimmy called her later that night while Ava was receiving oral sex from me. She answered the phone and had that conversation with Jimmy while I continued to perform oral on her. This is the closest I ever got to sucking MrBeast's dick. I was again now given access to very private information which made me feel special. Oh, you're special, alright. Something that happened consistently throughout our relationship. You sucked dick for MrBeast lore and then made it publicly known that this occurred. Just to end it. It's over for you. It's done. After almost a week, I was starting to feel really used and confused about everything. Why am I shitting white liquid? It's so confusing. While I was there, I found out, after taking this much cum, why aren't I pregnant? I'm a real woman, aren't I? While I was there, I found out through conversation between Ava, myself, and her friend, that she did not have the ability to cast anyone in a MrBeast video. I eventually asked Ava to buy me a ticket home and flew home the next day. Leaving Ava's house was incredibly difficult to process emotionally after that week. I remember trying to hold myself together while traveling so that I wouldn't vomit cum everywhere, as my belly was full. When I got home, I spent the rest of the night crying uncontrollably with gallons of cum, and I don't even get to be in a how long can you hold your shit before MrBeast sucks it out of your asshole challenge video. Damn. When I got home, I spent the rest of the night crying uncontrollably without fully understanding what happened to me. Ava and I remained in contact, but she did not show me the same level of attention and affection as she did before I spent a week with her. After nutting in you, the E-famous individual had less interest in their floozy. Strange. Curious. This was the first time we went through a cycle of her love-bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm an annoying jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out. That doesn't sound like a love-bombing cycle to me. Oh, we have the Finster reference here. This might be the interesting one. Shortly after that first week, she went on a work trip to Japan and invited someone else. Right. What's being described as love-bombing is being interested in you initially, getting a nut off, bored, got the new thing, got the nut off, I'm kind of E-famous, I nut in who I want, bored of you. And now we're talking about a rebound. Shit, I can't get what I want. I'm going to rebound to someone I've already been with. That doesn't look like love bombing in the sense that an abuser uses it as a strategy to me, personally. She went on a work trip to Japan and invited someone else. But things did not turn out the way she expected. She was upset and flew back early from her trip. She also offered me a job as her assistant and offered me to move in with her. I quit my job that month and moved in with her on June 16th and began working that day. I was supposed to start with a 2-week trial. Really appreciate you too and look forward to working together with you. Okay. It's working. You're getting those floozy benefits, right? You're spending the cum credits you accrued. During this trial period in my employment, Ava continued to receive oral sex from me multiple times. You're living out the fantasy of the slut secretary. Okay. From me multiple times, and I started to feel like I was being coerced. Again, you started to feel that way, I presume. How? Stop suckling! I can hear it! Because I started feeling that way, I decided to try and avoid any physical engagement between Ava and I that could lead to more one-sided sexual acts. This person, I feel, doesn't know what coerced means. You're explaining again, you're presenting to us again, you're annoyed that you didn't get your dick sucked back. You're annoyed that you didn't get your dick sucked back. If the problem is coercion, the reciprocal nature of the sex acts is irrelevant, because you're being pushed into doing it. Your consent isn't valid because you're being pressured. You're doing something sexual under duress is the point of saying you were coerced. What is the coercive element? What would the consequence of you saying no have been? Right? When do we get to that? I took a short trip to my home state at the end of July and returned on July 28th. When I got back, I continued to do my best to avoid anything physically sexual between Ava and I. On July 29th, we were watching TV together alone in her living room. With no warning, prior physical engagement or sexual conversation, she took off her pants and started touching herself in front of me. Right. You have a long-term sexual relationship. You are a toilet for Kris Tyson's cum. And Kris Tyson started jerking it in the room with you. Not sure this is too shocking, but I find it interesting that it's with no prior physical engagement, Kris started touching herself. So if they groped you first and then started joking it, that would be fine? What are you suggesting here? I had just moved in with Ava and left my job to come work as her assistant. In no way, shape or form did I feel like I could say no without somehow risking my job or being asked to leave. She used that against me in order to receive non-consensual oral sex. Right. Explain. You have jorking it in the room with you, a person who's functioned as a living cum receptacle. for months at this point, I believe. Now we have using having trapped you. Got you to leave your job, got you to move in with them. Okay. Felt like you couldn't say no. Were you asked to suck? Because you said up until this point you were able to avoid direct physical contact, and you haven't said there was any consequence of that. This was the moment that truly broke me for the first time. I went total ahegao. Nothing was enjoyable. It felt like it would never end and my entire body just hurt from performing the act. Sure, it wasn't just your throat. It took me a few days to fully accept what had happened. Sorry, did you get throat pounded? I need to know what occurred. It took me a few days to fully accept what had happened. Unfortunately, I was dealing with all these emotions while on a work trip, traveling the country and spending most of my time with people I had just met. The trip itself was very isolating as an employee, and there were several times where I broke down crying. I was on a 3-hour car trip to the airport with 3 people I had just met, and I spent the entire drive crying, but trying to be quiet as possible so that I didn't bother anyone. I then had to wait and board for an overnight flight from Boston to Los Angeles. When I boarded the plane, I decided to send Ava a message on Telegram sharing my concerns. I tried to do so carefully and navigate the conversation in a way that would stop me from being sexually assaulted again, but allow me to keep my job. Finster hopping in to destroy this slut. Damn, this sucks. Yeah, she does. Endlessly. What the fuck? Damn, this sucks. Yeah, that's the problem. What are you doing? Finster dabbing on the throat raped. Oh, Ava was very manipulative in her response and follow-up comments. To be fair, we're moving towards impropriety. We're moving out of just, you were a floozy, you wanted shit from an e-famous person, you threw yourself at them, so on and so forth. Now we are getting into the territory of Kris Tyson architecting a scenario in which this Meskina individual is dependent on them. Now we have the, severing of connection to other people in a past life. Now we have becoming reliant on them for money. And a consistent thing and not just an offering of a favor. We do have it morphing into, yes, it's like a relationship now, and it is moving towards looking potentially like an abusive relationship, to be fair. Ava was very manipulative in her response. But this Meskina person is still a loser, and it's hilarious that this happened to them, to be clear. But they may also be a victim. I believe in laughing at victims, if appropriate, though. Ava was very manipulative in her response and follow-up conversations we had in person once we got to our hotels. Jess says, can we talk when we get to Cali? I've been put in a lot of uncomfortable situations and I haven't really felt comfortable bringing it up. I know we've hooked up in the past before I started working for you, but now I feel pressured and it just makes me really uncomfortable. The last few times it happened left me feeling empty and used. Sure you didn't feel full? Anyway, is this sucking dick endlessly until you get a job and then saying, thanks for the job, no more sucky? Never mind, I'm back to this person just being a floozoid. The way it's playing out now is suck dick until you get what you want and then go, hey, surprise, this benefit I got from sucking your cock, I get that forever and I will no longer suck your cock. Yeah, they didn't even get married. That's not how it works. I know that wasn't your intention, but it hurts to feel like I'm an object around the house that can just be used. Why? That's the position you put yourself into. That's the role you carved out for yourself. All the misgendering / dead naming and isolation I've experienced in this trip is kind of pushing me to a breaking point. I've been quietly staring at a corner and bawling my eyes out since we left the last house. Why did you make me look at the Blair Witch? I just need something to change just so I don't feel like this anymore. They just sent out the LA hotel info and my dead name is in parentheses next to mine, but yours isn't. So I don't get why mine is. You're the bottom trans. Why don't I get the same treatment as you? Kris, let me wear your skin! I took the estrogen. Why can't I be you? Wait, if you're talking about the other day, and to be clear, this has been my feeling since we've started a professional relationship along our friendship, I don't want to do anything sexual with each other. That's a dynamic that can be misconstrued and is unethical for me. I have a thing where I don't respect my body. Like today. I have this thing where I disrespect my body by letting it be put into a freak like your mouth. The person told me he wanted to use my body and I didn't want to at the time, but I didn't want him to be upset or mad with me, so I let him. That's what happened the other day. I guess I should have asked you to stop, but it just kind of happened, so I just let it. Mooskins? Kris just Uno reversed this on you. Does Mooskins not understand that they've just been told that you sexually assaulted Kris? Muskina! This message is Kris saying you sexually assaulted them by performing oral sex they didn't want on them. Muskina! What are you doing? You retard? You just showed us receipts of Kris saying, please don't suck my cock, I hate it, please stop sucking my cock, you make me feel like a piece of meat. You remind me of my rapist. What? Also about the dead naming, I have no clue why it's happened, but I would love to talk to Blank with you about how to make it not happen again. I think you should also talk to Blank so he can reassure you that, hey, this is a... Maybe Kris wasn't sucking your dick back because Kris didn't want any of it. Uh-oh. Jess! Muskina! You stand accused by your own receipt leaks of sexually abusing Kris Tyson. Of non-consensually sucking the pedo cock. Jesus. Kris explicitly says, I don't want to do anything sexual with you. Stop sucking my cock. I didn't feel like I could stop you. Kris ends up saying, if this isn't working for you though, I completely understand and we can rethink things and I can work with you to make sure you're happy. Seems incredibly accommodating. I don't think it's reasonable for Jess to be afraid of losing their job or something, given what's being said here. You're an important person to me, I want to be your friend, and if the work relationship causes stress to that, I'd rather just focus on our friendship. Uh-oh. That's a concerning one. That does put job in, jeopardy, potentially. Ava was very manipulative in her response. Yeah, Ava was manipulating me by saying, don't suck my cock. Stop it. Jess says, I definitely still want to work for you, and your friendship is really important to me too, so I don't want to lose that either. My emotions definitely just all added up, and it hit me like a brick on the car ride here. And I just felt so embarrassed that I couldn't stop crying over it. Also, I don't mind it being hectic ever. It's the dead naming and misgendering that makes me feel like there's just little respect for me as a human. In terms of being openly sexual with my friends, colleagues, that's something I'm always down for. In terms of being openly sexual with my friends and colleagues, that's something I'm always down for. But the way our relationship has developed between each other sexually is incredibly one-sided and it just makes me feel used and uncomfortable. Again, this is just, it's unfair because you don't suck me back. Kris has just said, I felt like you were just using my body like a piece of meat to suck on. What? That's not your fault though, it's just the way things developed between us and I let that happen. It's not your fault I let you get away with not sucking my wiener. Okay? I'd really like to talk about this in person. Sorry I sent you that long message and I love you. I love you too. I don't know if I'll sleep tonight, so come by when you get here. Where are you? Honestly, Fabre, at this point, if abuse occurred, I think it's by Muskina. Honestly, we've been flipped. The pedo has been preyed upon. We agreed not to have sex anymore if that's how I felt about what happened. Show me the logs. I think specifically what Kris said about not having sex anymore is very important. In these logs, in these messages, we have Kris explicitly saying, I don't want to do anything sexual with each other. We have Kris saying, the only reason I let you suck my cock is because I didn't feel like I could stop you. I let it happen. Now you're saying, we agreed not to have sex anymore if that's how I felt about what happened. You can't just say that after showing us that Kris said, I don't want to have sex with you. I just let you suck me. Doesn't sound like that's what would have happened afterwards, actually. For several months, we did not engage in explicitly sexual acts, but we did continue to engage in physically sexual acts, such as cuddling, groping, hand-holding. Physically sexual acts such as hand-holding. That sounds like a meme. Allegedly, yes, Trey, earlier on, Kris asked this individual to masturbate for them. Groping, hand-holding, and sleeping in the same bed. And sexual conversations / texts. Jess says, I want to tweet these thoughts. Hot, God so hot, so fuckworthy. Mommy even. Okay, thank you, I needed that confidence. You're so cute. How about now? Yes, Mother Ava. There is a claim here of non-consensual oral sex. Muskina has included a claim, for some reason, of Kris stating that Muskina, sexually violated them. I wouldn't personally choose to include such a log. But it's right here. For the next year, Ava towed the line with me between what was and wasn't an appropriate relationship with our power dynamic. Stop it! These led to me having mixed feelings and receiving mixed feelings from Ava on how she viewed me. She was able to manipulate me very easily with the power she had over me, which led to the cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm an annoying, jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out with multiple people. We did eventually hook up one more time during a week in December in which I was super emotional because of my cat of 12 years. That's one take, Skolsky, but consider... Muskina is saying, following Kris saying, I don't want to fuck you, they didn't fuck anymore. until one more time in December, right? We did eventually hook up one more time during a week in December in which... So that claim played out in them not having sex. So it seems like... I think that lends credence to it being a sincere statement of not wanting to have sex. Because Kris says, I don't want to have sex, and then they didn't have sex. Super emotional because my cat of 12 years that I brought with me to NC was dying of cancer. I was spending a lot of time with my cat that week and monitoring her. Like if Muskina had said, despite saying all this, Kris would still push me for sex. No, it's, we didn't have sex anymore, but there were still flirty messages. So it seems like it kind of lines up that what Kris wants seems to be sexual stuff with distance. Not actual sex, but, you know, messages, pictures, lighter stuff. You know, like Kris would do hanging out in the goon server with the kids. I was spending a lot of time with my cat that week and monitoring her breathing rate. And she seemed okay, and then she passed away in her sleep before I expected it. I found her curled up in a corner showing no signs of life. I realized what had happened and I sat down, picked her up in my arms, skinned her, battered her, and deep fried her. It was very late, around 1 a.m, and Ava heard me, so she came to check on me and realized what had happened. I was hysterical and couldn't really speak clearly or gather my thoughts properly, mostly because Kris's cock was already down my throat at that point. No, couldn't speak clearly. She stayed up with me for about 1 hour, at which point I told her that I was going to take my cat to the vet in the morning so that they could prepare her body for cremation. After an hour, Ava told me that she didn't know if I wanted her to stay or not, so she was going to go downstairs and go to sleep. Okay? I stayed alone with my cat until 7 a.m. and then took her to the vet by myself while I was still crying uncontrollably. Okay. Awkward, but... This led to a lot of fights between Ava and I that week, in which she continued to gaslight and manipulate me into thinking I was the problem and it was my fault that I was feeling used. At this point, used for what? You were sucking like a reverse fire hose? Kris was like, stop. You guys stopped it until one encounter in the December. Like, what are you being used for? It all seems to stem from you not getting sucked back, really. Whenever I became emotional or had an issue with how Ava was treating me, it was always turned around on me, and I was made to believe that if I didn't stop acting that way or prove that I was okay with everything, that I should move out and not be her assistant anymore. This cycle kept happening until Easter 2024 when Ava traveled with me to spend Easter with my family. We then spent a weekend together in Boston in a hotel while I showed her around the city. At this point, we were very, very close emotionally, and I told Ava how I was feeling about us and that I wanted to have a conversation about us. I told her that it already felt like we were in a relationship, and she agreed. I told her that the feelings I had for her were like that of a partner. My feelings for you are like that of a partner. Jesus Christ. Is this the chemicals? She said she felt the same way about me. She told me that traveling with me for Easter did something for her, and I believe we had something special moving forward. A few days after Easter, she had planned to travel to LA to visit a friend that she was talking to and interested in sexually. Absolutely cucked. I told her this wasn't a problem for me and that what I wanted for us was an open relationship anyways. Sorry, major detail. The love bombing pattern of being super into me and then going and someone else and then coming back to me. By the way, I wanted an open relationship. What did you expect? You can't tell us there was this horrible pattern of abuse and then also explain to us how you were stating that that was actually the dynamic you wanted. She wasn't ready to officially call us partners at this point, but she assured me that this person wasn't looking for anything serious and she didn't even know if they were going to hook up. She ended up hooking up with this person on the first night and was calling them her boyfriend by the end of the week. And they were officially in a relationship. Right, so you got cocked. I sucked dick so bad that it wasn't good enough for this pedophile and they asked me to stop and then they cucked me. That's what you posted on the internet. I don't think I've seen a bigger L in my life. I'm so bad at sucking cock that the pedophile I latched onto asked me to stop and then cucked me. That's your legacy, Muskina. Jesus Christ. I had a huge problem with the way all of this played out, and I wanted some clarification from Ava on what she and I were. No comment! No comment on what Ava and this individual are. Comes from me today. This led to a lot of fights, which led to me moving out in the beginning of June because of how bad my mental health was with everything going on between us. Get off the phone with your boyfriend, nerd. You're coming over next week, right? I remember when I used to be important to you. Brackets 2 weeks ago. Ah, nice. My favorite. An adult writing like a 13-year-old. You're not unimportant to me. I wish you wouldn't say things like that to me. It makes me insecure. Oh, the Tranoid Wars. The insecurity wars. I win. There's normally like this thing where it's like, oh, you said something offensive, I win. With tranoids, it's like, you made me feel insecure, I win. If you obliterate your enemy's psyche, they win. I'm more pathetic. I win. I'm not trying to make you insecure, but sometimes I get insecure and I feel that way myself. Uno reverse. Actually, I'm more insecure. You did this. I win. You become more distant, and I get treated differently every time you fall for someone new, and that's really hard for me to deal with based on the nature of our relationship, and considering I gave up everything to move down with you and be your BF/assistant. It's a lot. So the job description is slut secretary. It was explicitly, you know, a sexual role. You're a whore. It's a lot to deal with emotionally, but I also get insecure. But you'll become so enamored with your new partner that you'll start looking for ways to get rid of me so that you can spend all your time with them. I think you're insecure about this because of the blank. Yeah, you're a floozy. Insecure about this because of the blank thing, because I've texted and called as much as I can. I played Elden Ring yesterday and spent the day with Chief and then did therapy. So I didn't look at my phone that much. I didn't even start talking to him until after my therapy appointment. I was asleep. It's super frustrating how every time I try to be happy, I have to be careful not to be too happy, or you will start saying stuff like this. Dude, this is so funny. Trans relationships are funny and welcome to hell. People should stop being transphobic. You're helping them. By giving them someone they can all unite to rage against, you're not allowing them to collapse into self and mutual destruction. Just leave them alone. They'll kill themselves. Not literally. I mean, like, they will, but I don't mean literally in this instance. I mean, like, they'll destroy themselves emotionally and mentally just by tearing each other to shreds with this psychological warfare. This is just page after page after page of people trying to paint each other as an abuser. I have to be careful not to be too happy. You're making me insecure. No, you make me insecure. No, you make me insecure. Oh, I feel used because I'm always sucking your dick, but you won't suck mine. Oh, actually, I feel raped because I never actually wanted you to suck my dick all those times. I just felt like a body. I dissociated, and I let it happen. Jesus Christ. It almost feels like you're the one pushing me away because of your own feelings, because I've not changed how I treat you at all. I don't know how to handle this situation. I legit now have anxiety that I didn't text whichever app you messaged me on, you'll get mad at me. You've given me a mental illness. There we go, that's a classic one. The anxiety I feel about this situation reminds me of whenever blank would get mad at me while I was at work and say I chose work over here. PTSD, mentioned. Implied. I'm not choosing anything over you. You're my friend and I just wish... Ooh.
Generally fed the streamer $20 Super Bear.
Thank you.
I know that I have a questionable connection with this known PDF, but fortunately I can reframe this gay relationship as abusive. Now she's getting piled on, so I get distance and clout at the time.
True.
Funny how things work out.
If I was a dick sucker, I would know that I had tasted the cum of a pedophile. I just know that I'd know. There's no excuse for this person. There's no defense for this person, okay? I guarantee you that pedo cum just tastes different. You'd know. You'd know if you swallowed a pedo's load. You're my friend, and I just wish you could be happy for me after everything. It has a fruity flavor that appeals to children. Not even just the monetary stuff. I've held you while you cried. Went with you to meet your family. Like I didn't do that for any reason other than it meant a lot to you. I don't know. To be honest, if you would have just acted like nothing changed, I would have loved for you to be around, but I genuinely don't think it's a good idea for you to be around blank now. I don't know where to go from here because I understand you may feel this way, but I've gone out of my way to try and make you feel included, so I'm genuinely at a loss for what to do. I feel like I've been too soft on Kris, by the way. Reminder that this is a pedophile with kids. This is a pedo with kids. Saying this to their fucking weirdo tranoid friend. Their live-in trans slut secretary. This is a discussion between someone with kids and their live-in slut fantasy secretary. Unbelievably vile. It's not that you're too happy or that I'm not happy for you. It's not about not replying to my messages you don't see. I don't want to push you away, but I did. These are adults as well, to be clear. Understood my feelings and what I'm going through emotionally because it hasn't been easy for me and I've been so full of anxiety. Yeah, whatever. So full of anxiety. Part of it is the blank thing and having some trauma from that. PTSD implied on the other end. There we go. There we go. But I think it's more I have such strong feelings for you, which creates needs. This person is really sharing logs of them saying abuse is when you don't do what I want you to do. By the way, what do people think of the term tranoid? It seems like it's allowed, and it doesn't seem to have a history, and it follows the oid formula. I love calling people oids. Dementoids, whiteoids, rightoids, leftoids. I think you can do blackoids, but there's a version of that beginning with N that you absolutely cannot do. Usually those needs are met and they go beyond just being included. It hurts to feel like that's something I'm consistently given and then taken away, and it's painful. Ah, you weren't being love bombed, you just feel entitled. This is called entitlement. Kris Tyson, pedoid. It made me so happy that you were able to be there for me in times where I cried and came to visit my family, but I thought you did those things because you wanted to, and that's just what friends do. Really thought we were something more than friends, and I'm trying to find a way to deal with that. I love you so much, but I don't want you to think that you can't bring me around people like blank now, because I honestly like him. But I'm just scared of losing whatever it is we have. Presumably that's the boyfriend. Damn, this story of sucking pedo dicks is making me hungry. I just know I care about you a whole lot. I know the way I'm acting is me taking a huge risk, but I couldn't just let my feelings fester like a stink ditch while I sit here and recover. Opinion on Finster for calling out Moist Critical for not using pronouns in their Ava video and Twitter running to their aid. I missed that part of the video. I don't think I saw that part. You can call someone they. I think when we're talking about a transgender pedophile over a period of time during which they wished to be called multiple different pronouns, I think they is a safe bet. I don't think it's a 200 IQ misgendering by saying they, by Charlie. Charlie was doing a 200 IQ devious transphobia by saying they. I don't think so. I, in fact, strongly suspect he was specifically choosing they to be careful to be as sensitive as possible given how weird it is. It's not that he wasn't being cucked enough, it's perhaps that he was being too cucked. Musky says, I've also spent countless nights staying up with you to make sure you're okay, and have held you in my arms while you cried and bled all over me. What? Bled all over me? You need to get tested. Bled from where? Or how? And all the times I put myself in uncomfortable situations to be there for you. I try to make sure you know that the money means nothing to me compared to your friendship by buying my share of food for us and gifts. It's really hard to just move on from all that stuff in such a short span. Like I get we will meet other people. Bear in mind as well, Whaler, that I'm suggesting that what I've described is more like a reason why it can be confusing. I'm not necessarily positing that the correct thing is to say he when you're referring to an example of them when they were a man. And the correct thing is when they wanted to be a woman, you say she in that case, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying confronted with the scenario where that's going on, it's weird, and it makes sense that they would be a safe pick. Because, and I said this on Twitter, but I didn't say this today. Consider that if there was a picture of Kris with beard when they went as a dude, me saying she with that photo on screen would be me making fun of them. Me using she to refer to Kris would be an attack on them because of the obvious contrast. Saying she about Kris Tyson when you're talking about Kris in a period when they identified as a man and had stubble is not actually a friendly pick, a friendly choice of pronoun. It's hostile. If you're deliberately creating that contrast between what they want to be called and what they look like there, right? That's why they is actually safer. I've also spent countless nights staying up with you to make sure you're okay, and have held you in my arms while you cried and bled all over me. And all the times I put myself in uncomfortable situations to be there for you. And I try to make sure you know that the money means nothing to me compared to friendship. Really hard to move on from all that such stuff in such a short span. Like, I get we will meet each other and move on and play different roles in each other's lives at some point. It just hurts a lot to feel like it's going to happen so fast. If you want to call and talk, that's fine. If you want to take some space and talk, well, I get back, that's fine too. Musky didn't get replaced by Finster. At some point, Kris was trying to replace Musky with Finster and failed. Musky was replaced with, I believe, an undisclosed man. Don't feel any pressure to call. I've thought about it and realized I'm the one who just needs to take some space and process. True, there are people who insist that they were always a woman, they were always just she, so actually it's correct to call them she in the past. There are people who say that and then change their mind about that. So, if you want to be safe, they is how you be safe with these weird, retarded, mentally obliterated freaks. If you want to be safe in terms of signaling respect of them, you say they. In my opinion, that's the safest. Don't feel any pressure to call. I've thought about it and realized I'm the one who just needs to take some space and process. You've done nothing wrong and been an amazing friend. The undisclosed man has been referred to as a she, boyfriend in chief. God damn. The undisclosed cum receptacle, I guess. Whatever. I'll still message you for schedule and work stuff, that's fine, but I think taking a break from the emotional stuff for me and just letting you be happy with blank without worrying about me is what's best. You don't tell your schizophrenic friend his hallucinations are real? Sometimes you should, actually, Telos. Sometimes it's dangerous not to. If you ever get into care, and you might potentially work with old people with dementia, sometimes the correct move is actually to play along with their delusions. Because that can cause them distress or even put you in danger. When I moved out, we had an agreement that I would keep my job as a hybrid. However, people in those scenarios are normally institutionalized. When I moved out, we had an agreement that I would keep my job as a hybrid travel/remote/work-from-home position. When I reached out to Ava after moving out to discuss my schedule for the rest of the month, she informed me that she was already working on replacing me. Hex, I just think how you refer to people should be based on your perception of their gender. I think gendered pronouns should be your rating of their performance of gender. It should be a review. Calling someone he should be when they come across as masculine to you, not because they want you to call them he. It's one of the reasons why I find people saying, I use these pronouns to be weird. What the f*** do you mean you use those pronouns? So do I. Because you use pronouns by speaking them or writing them to refer to someone. I'm not the product of a video game character creator. I don't set my pronouns. I know we didn't get to talk too much about me moving out, so if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I'm planning on flying back on June 16th and staying there until July 2nd, if that is cool with you. I was planning on spending at least half a month in Neo Congo, working and helping you out moving forward, but also do scheduling, managing blank, pay bills, etc. while I'm in Massachusetts. I'm probably going to let blank continue working with me until I can get the divorce settled, and then I'm going to try. See, Whaler is just referring to me as she because he's embarrassed about being gay and finds me very attractive. It's sad. Probably going to let blank continue working with me until I can get the divorce settled. Then I'm going to try and look into getting an executive assistant who can be here with me and focuses solely on improving my mental health, creating channels to make getting back into work easier and more streamlined, and connecting with the people that be... Like, here's another thing. Everyone makes fun of the guys who are like, I need man tissues, because I'm a real man. I can't just have a diaper bag. I need the combat diaper bag, because I'm a man. That's called fragile masculinity. That's called insecurity. Call me she or I'll kill myself! It's the same shit. It's exactly the same, and you should be made fun of for being a weak bitch. Sorry. I'm probably going to connecting with the people at Beast by being on location, to make sure I'm getting things on the schedule when they happen. I want to help you, but the company isn't going to let me have 2 EAs. Gee, Billy, how come your mom lets you have 2 EAs? And I need someone to be accountable for me. And I know you have your stuff. We can talk about it more when I get back. That's fine. So should I not book the flight to come back? I just want to clarify if this is me being let go, or if I'm being changed to a different position. I've noticed something happening on Twitter a lot as well, where the tranoids are finding like people who have the freaky height extension surgery, where they have like a rod put into the bone in their leg to extend it, and it f***s them up, and they're like, this freak making demented medieval procedure counts as gender confirming care. Ha ha ha! Look at this freak. It's like, yeah, sure, fair. Now you understand, right? You get it. Is it all? Can we laugh at all of it now and say it's for freaks? Do you actually mean this? No, you don't. But you should, and you're right. That's pathetic. And comes from internal issues more than it does anything real. Do you think I'm making up people now? No. No, I am not. No. Doesn't mean they're trans, Bendelin. So the idea is that it's like male to male or female to female. So if it's a spectrum, let's say you identify as 100% man. But in terms of your presentation, in terms of what you physically are, to other people you come off as like 60% man. So it's gender affirming in that it pushes you closer to that 100% man on the spectrum. You're not crossing from one side to the other. You're just becoming more man. And in that sense, they're calling it gender affirming care. Whatever. I guarantee you I'm not making up a person though, okay? It's real. Now, how much does it matter that people on Twitter are saying this? Not very much. But the people who are saying that shit on Twitter should laugh at all gender affirming care. Look at this weird freak, doesn't feel like he's enough of a man, so he gets his legs mutilated. Yeah, that's crazy. I agree. I agree with your characterization of it as such as well, actually. That's fine, so should I not book the flight to come back? I just wanted to clarify if this is me being let go or if I'm being changed to a different position so I can plan accordingly. I completely understand your reasoning, by the way. I need to be able to focus on my own mental health, so I can't focus on someone else's as my job. It just isn't healthy for me. Also, I think you deserve someone who will feel more comfortable working with the company. I think if Boston is where you feel like you're going to be mentally the most healthy, I want that for you. I completely understand your reasoning, blah, 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 blah. I think if you need a Boston cream pie, you should do that. I took this as kind of you resigning. This isn't really a mobile position. I'm going to talk to James about getting everything. I don't want you to feel like I'm firing you because I really took the abrupt move as you resigning. This is adults, sick fox. Overwhelmingly, this is Muskina being a floozy. Trying to get stuff as a floozy. Being angry that their blowjobs weren't reciprocated. There was a period in which you could argue some degree of impropriety. Kris convinced Muskina to drop their work, to move in with them, and then rely on them financially to be their boss. And during that time, Muskina claims to have felt pressured into sex, but I think what knocks that down is Muskina then shared logs where Kris was saying, I never want to have sex with you, I just let you suck me off because you did it. I don't really want it. And then following that, Muskina said they did not have any physically sexual encounters, at least actual, intercourse of any kind, until once more in December of that year. Unimpressed by this person's claims of abuse. No, I don't feel like you're firing me, and I'm okay with moving away from the position. I clearly was uncomfortable after everything that had happened between us over the course of last year. I definitely wish some things were handled differently, but it is what it is. I do genuinely feel like my ability to do my job was being affected, so it's nice to be out of that situation. I did expect to keep the job because we had talked in person when we were both there last week. I thought we had agreed that me moving to Boston at some point and splitting my time between there and Neo-Congo would be okay, and I could keep the job. So I hope we can work something out where I can move away from the job comfortably. Comfortably, if you will. Hey, can you let me know if when someone will reach out to me about my current status as an employee, because I have to update my income in Massachusetts properly to avoid any loss of coverage. I wonder if they actually were an employee, if they were self-employed. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter, just my business autism. I felt forced out of my position and made it clear to her that I wasn't comfortable with the way things went down, but she didn't answer any of my concerns. I kept in contact with her and remained friendly while I navigated my departure from the company. She told me that she was keeping the company updated. Were you a Beast employee? What was the actual arrangement? She told me that she was keeping the company updated and that someone would talk to me about my severance and leaving the company in June. When this didn't happen, I asked Ava for another update on my employment. I was eventually given the correct contact information. Now you're just telling us your life story. Hope you didn't take my message the wrong way. I didn't expect to lose this job when I moved, so I'm in a bit of a financial pickle. I need to find out my employment status is listed with the company and when I'll get my last paycheck as soon as I can. My health insurance is due soon and I'll have to update my income after my last paycheck to avoid any loss of coverage. I already have a good job lined up, but I was going to see if I could get any financial help until I'm able to start that job. Although I'm planning on taking care of my car. You're still employed and I haven't even talked to anyone about it yet, so I'll keep you up to date on the process. Sorry, I was just trying to put anything aside that would stress me until I go back from this trip. That's fair. I hope you enjoyed your trip. Hey, do you still want me to take care of stuff for you just for now? Just wasn't sure because I keep seeing stuff in the group chat and I'm not sure if you're expecting me to help or not. It's just where I'm used to sending things by default. Between us, James is going to use company leverage to get me someone who can basically pick my life up and help me get it back moving. Is James Jimmy? Is James Beast? Between us, James is going to use company leverage to get me someone who can basically pick my life up and help me get it back moving. Until I begin the process, you will be on pay, and I'll discuss with James making sure you're taken care of, and since it's to help with your mental health, I'm going to push for them to give you severance. Also, if you find any companies in the area you think we can get you a referral to, the MrBeast thingy works great. Also, I want you to come visit me often. Because I love you, Jess. You will always be my sister! What the f***? You will always be my sister / semen disposal unit. Okay, so I'm working with blank to get my car started and sold, but it's pretty clear this is going to take a few weeks. That puts me in a hard spot, because I really need a vehicle with my current living situation or I need to move out. I'm also not sure what the details are for any severance or what my last paycheck will be, which makes it very difficult to move forward with purchasing a vehicle or moving out. Don't know if you'd be interested in purchasing my car. Why don't you buy my car? What the f*** is this? I was planning on selling the car for around 3K since I paid 5K for it. I understand if you don't want to do this. Also, I was hoping to get some clear information in writing from someone of what my severance will be, when I'll be getting it. Have they not contacted you yet? Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything from anyone. Pretty sure they haven't said anything either. Okay, I'll talk to blank. Is her email blank? I just want to look out for her email or just reach out so she still has my contact info. Damn, won't suck your dick back. Won't buy your car. Jesus. Before I talked to HR, Ava found out I had talked about her sexually assaulting me. Ah, okay. Ava found out I had talked about her sexually That was when Ava jerked off in the room, right? The alleged sexual assault is when Kris started jorking it. There's implied forced face, but never fully described exactly what happened. Reply was to send one message and then block me and everything. Yes, let me send her a message. Wait, no, it's blank. Whoops. She misunderstood me when I told her to hold off on blank. She should be contacting you. Sorry for the hold up. Wow, Jess. I learned that Ava told them I had decided to resign on my own free will, and the first they heard of me leaving was that first week of July. I informed them. Ooh, that's curious. So if Kris was telling them you were resigning, that is sneaky behavior. That is weird. I informed them what was actually going on with my resignation, and it became pretty clear that Ava had not been forthcoming with them. Okay. About anything that transpired between us during the course of my employment. This is interesting, mainly to me, for the connection to the child porn cave to MrBeast pipeline. We know that Kris drafted at least one child from their goon cave to work for MrBeast on his gaming channel. I wonder how often that occurred. This weird behavior of Kris around people they've drafted into the company's employment status, how Kris communicates and represents them, is interesting and might hold relevance to a far worse scenario. Or far worse scenarios. I wonder how many people around MrBeast now are adults who were once drafted by Kris or some other creep Jimmy surrounded himself with. I wonder. Like, I'm wondering, are Kris's little goon discords for kiddies, are those like MrBeast's version of the Mickey Mouse Club? Is that where they get the future stars from? Was Lava meant to be the Justin Timberlake of who will the Britney Spears be? I provided them with evidence of chat logs. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, a few days later I told them enough about what had happened between Kris and I, which led MrBeast to launch a third-party investigation into the matter. Another one. Wonderful. I provided them with evidence of chat log screenshots and gave them a list of witnesses in the company who had seen Kris and I being physical together. What? Imagine if the people who watched them were Kris's kiddie friends. Kris would live stream me sucking the pedo cum out over Discord. Finster is there. Sorry, to be clear, just so you know, Finster is there on a story of this person talking over and over again about how much cum they sucked out of a pedophile, saying, damn, this sucks. Damn straight it does. Sucks Kris's pedo cock. Provided them with evidence of chat log screenshots, gave them a list of witnesses in the company. That was over 2 weeks ago, and in that time I have not heard back anything despite asking for an update twice. During this time period, the allegations against Kris for inappropriate talk to minors and more details of her relationship with Shadman became public. I mean, the Discord leaks became public. Most of the other stuff just always was public. Seeing all of this come out and happen has put me in a uniquely uncomfortable position. I think the kids who were mind are in a more uniquely uncomfortable position, personally. I knew she had a troubled past, but I thought it never went past attack helicopter jokes and liking an edgy artist. I wasn't super online when Shadman was popular, so I knew very little about him, and did not know Ava was associated with someone who sold drawings of CP. It was already extremely difficult to navigate moving on from being sexually assaulted and being taken advantage of by someone I cared about, who had an immense amount of power over me. Seeing everything this week has been extremely... You know, I feel like that's undermined somewhat when you've shown us that Kris couldn't be bothered to cut you off from the money. This person who was trying to control you by getting you into a position where you relied on them for a job didn't really seem to give a shit about you getting cut off from the payroll. You probably could have just said nothing and gotten a wage forever and had it not be noticed. Yes, Kris Tyson, before coming out as trans, did, you know, like, I identify as an attack helicopter and stuff jokes, yes. Perhaps they were just sincere in their claims. Seeing everything this week has been extremely stressful, and it's been equally difficult to see people respond in bad faith. You know what really bothers me about this face-raping pedophile? The bad faith their critics have engaged in. With transphobia has been to see people blindly defend Ava and disregard evidence because she is transgender. And I feel like the only way for me to move forward with my life is to talk publicly about what happened. I don't want hush money. Why not? I don't want clout. I just want to be able to move on with my life and close this chapter. What was stopping you from doing that? I don't think anything was stopping you from doing that. Why are all these people so... This sucks so bad. Yes, it does. There was much sucking involved. Kris Tyson did nothing wrong. Damn. Gogeta TV. Straight out to Dragon Ball. After reading everything, I can confidently state Kris definitely engaged in subtle manipulation. These people didn't read all this, or they didn't comprehend all of this. I don't believe they did. I don't know. The standout to me is that Muskina's receipts include a statement by Kris that they didn't want the blowjobs. And that they just let it happen. The Uno reverse, wherein Kris goes, actually you sexually assaulted me, is fascinating. Why isn't anyone mentioning this? That's crazy. That's unbelievable. It's so funny. Here at Harmful Opinions, we read all of it. No half measures. Damn straight, unless it's boring. If it's boring, I stop reading. But if I stop reading, I normally go, we're not doing this, I'm not going to further comment on this. I don't go, damn, Queen Slay, or sorry you were raped, but I'm not going to read that, and I don't know what you have said.